Minton here again. I want to tell you a little bit about using the Mendeley tool to keep track of references in your field on your own cloud account in a database. And what you want to do that is to go to mendeley.com. And the first thing to do is make yourself an account here if you don't have one. You just associate it with an email address. It can be your permanent private email address if you want at this stage, or you can use the one used for school or work. But this is an interesting set of tools. One thing you can do is download a reference manager program, which kind of really uses a web-like interface, but the idea is you can collect references from literature, keep them in your own little database associated with your account. It's free, and you can also use it to write and control references in your writing. And let me see if I get something I can show you an example of that with. This is a Word document for a manuscript that's in a stylized template to the journal. And what I'll do is let me just save a copy of it that I can play around with here. And this has references set out in it. And what you can do when you register and then download the reference manager app, you will get an application that when you launch, at least on the Mac and the PC, it's pretty similar. Let me load it up and drag it onto the screen. This is what reference manager looks like, and I have a lot of references in mind because I've imported a database of references. I had maybe a couple of thousand collected over many years. In other programs such as EndNote, there's another one called Reference Manager. So those are programs you typically have to subscribe to these days, and every time your system updates, you have to also update and spend more money to update your EndNote or Reference Manager software. I got tired of doing that about a decade ago, well, maybe just short of a decade ago, and I switched to Mendeley, which came along, which was started by academic researchers who happened to be in computer sciences and did database work, and they kind of made an open source tool. It's been heavily adopted around the world. I use this to manage the references for everything I do in my research now, and it doesn't cost me a dime, so it's handy that way. I can make collections, subfolders and groups. I can make groups where I can share these group folders with other people that have Mendeley accounts. For instance, when we were writing the paper, we've also dragged references into here of papers that we're using. And you can check abstracts on them, see the references. You can link to the NCBI, to PubMed. You can often even see the paper itself, because you'll often in this database have a PDF of them in here. Here's one of our papers. What's handy about this is, though, when you're writing, when you have this reference manager, there will be a tools menu, and you can install a Mendeley web importer, which I'll show you in a second, into your web browser. You can also install Mendeley site for Word if you're using Word, and which I do. So if I go back to this Word document, when I go to the references pane, what's installed into my Word, and I can call it up under references, is this Mendeley site, which I can hit and activate. And in the side, it's kind of loading and filling in the same database that I'm looking at when I use the Mendeley reference manager. And it will update if it needs to update. I can look in a lot of the similar subfolders. So for this paper I was using with my student, I'm using this subfolder to do a review, and that's handy because if we wanted to add a reference when you're writing, so you're writing away, this is just a Word doc. It's a little bit specially formatted, but basically it's a Word doc. When I want to add a reference, so let's say I want to add, I got reference 7 in there, maybe I want to add another reference, and I'm just picking something randomly now. I can get that reference basically. That looks good there. That one's good. Okay, that all looks good there. Okay, so what I want to do is add the citation from here. Where did I put my cursor again? Oops, let's put it outside here. I can actually I can just use the insert citation. But say I want to insert this one, I'll click on insert citation. The interface changes once in a while there. I was confused for a second. Now they have they've put these here for every reference, so I don't have to go hunting in a menu anymore, which is actually easier. I can insert that citation, and it will do that. And notice it's added it, and it's also updated numbers. What it will do is the other thing that you have in your Word document is once you've added a few citations, they're in there with codes that you can't see and view in Word. But then I can go down to the document, put my cursor down here, and I'll just do it again in this position. Once you have a few references in there, you can basically have the system add your citation. So I can say insert my bibliography and continue, and it's basically inserted the bibliography. Now I got them in here twice, but it's inserted this, and currently it's using this citation style for this journal at the moment, and which is the journal called Cells, actually. So the citation was format was actually in there, and it's all built for me. That's really handy when you're writing. So this is called Cite While You Write. The other neat thing about it is that later on, if I need to edit this document, and say I need to take this paragraph and I need to move it, and it's got some references in it. But if I need to actually take that, move it somewhere else in the document, it's going to change, in this case, the ordering maybe of the reference. And if it does, we'll let it update and do that. So actually this one has to be added properly again too. Let's do the citation style is good. I can have it update everything from the library. And I would say actually this one did not update properly. So I got to add Zhang in et al. 2018. That got put in wrong. So it's handy to be able to fix things as well. Zhang. I can look for Zhang. And I believe for this guy it was the T-span 12 guys. This was the one I wanted to go into there. That has to be inserted properly. Boom. into the reference, and it's in there. What it will do is update these automatically as well. The other neat thing about this is if I need to change, so I might write this as a manuscript and not even know exactly what journal I might go into at first, or I know what journal I'm going to, but I'm not sure how they do their references. Do they do Brown et al. In the text and put an alphabetical bibliography, or do they do numerical reference and put them numerically in order in the bibliography part of the paper? You might not know what their format is at the moment. Once you find out what it is, at any time you can go to the citation settings, change the citation style, search and look for a journal, and basically ask it to reformat all your references for that journal or publication, and it will do so. So that's a very handy tool. So again, it's free. You basically keep in a cloud account references that you collect in whatever areas you're working in over time. You won't lose track of them. You can find them again. Often it will grab the PDFs for you. The web tool is nice because in your web browser it will also install this tool. So here I've come to this journal. I'm looking at this website, and I can actually say, hey, I want to add this to my database, and that would be a kind of a pain in the butt the old way, where I would really have to kind of manually add some information and go get it. But I can actually click this tool, and if it might ask me to sign in again if I'm not signed in, but what it's done is it's now given me this working window with the browser. It's telling me the articles it found on this web page, which is the article itself, and also some other articles that are probably from the bibliography in the paper. And if they're available, I can have subfolders. For example, I can say, let's add this to my Mendeley database, so I don't lose track of it. I just want to move on. I got something else to do. I now know that the reference in the PDF has been added to my Mendeley database, so I won't forget to get a copy of it or write it down or do notes or whatever. I kind of know what's in there. I can go searching for it, later on. I can always search for it in my own Mendeley database. So that's basically what you want to do with Mendeley. If you don't have a reference manager going and you don't want to buy one of the pay-for-use software, just use Mendeley, and that will be very handy for writing short-term papers, writing full papers. If you're writing a thesis in the future as a graduate student, you'll have lots of references. This will be easy. Sometimes you know information when you're writing an introduction, so like I'll know information I want to say in the introduction, saying something about photoreceptor development. I'll put those facts in, but I know that I've learned these facts from other papers. I want to find an original reference, that if the rhodopsin expression is cut in half in a knockout mouse, photoreceptors die. I can look for those terms in my collection of papers. You can also browse Mendeley. We'll also have some tools. You can go looking for subject papers, or you can just go to NCBI or PubMed or anything as you want. Look for them in there. You can Google them there. But once you get to that journal's page, you can use that web importer to bring that in, and then it's available to you to write with. So this is a very big time saver. When I was your age writing papers, I just had to have photocopies of everything. I had to keep lists, and everything was just, even when you had a word processor, it was still manual organization and rearrangement, everything you did to edit the order of your references. And so this is just much, much easier. Will save you a lot of time and make you very productive.